This is question number 29 on the trig final exam review. It says to solve the triangle B equals 2, C equals 3, and A equals 75 degrees. So before we start, it's best if we draw this out. So I'm just going to make any old triangle, and I'm going to put angle A here, angle B here, angle C there. Side A has to go across from angle A, side B has to go across from angle B, and side C has to go across from angle C. So I know side C is equal to 3, side B is equal to 2, and angle A is 75 degrees. So what we have here is side, angle, side. So being that it's a side, angle, side triangle, we're going to use law of cosines. So there are 3 law of cosines, so depending on what you're given is what you're going to write down. Since I'm given angle A, I want side A squared to be on the right-hand side, and being that said, A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC times cosine of angle A. And that is one of the formulas for the law of cosines. Once again, I determined that because I was given angle A, side C, and side B. So this will give me side A, and that's what I'm going to go after. So I'm looking for side A. So A squared equals B, which is 2, we're going to square that, plus C, which is 3, we're going to square that, minus 2 times 2, which is side B, times 3, which is side C, cosine of 75 degrees. And when we work out the math, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 3 is 12, cosine of 75 degrees, and equals A squared. Okay, so 4 plus 9 is 13, minus 12, cosine of 75 degrees, and this equals A squared. Getting A by itself, I have to take the square root of both sides. Now when you take the square root of both sides, I get side A by itself, but I should get plus or minus the square root of 13 minus 12 cosine of 75 degrees. The reason why I didn't put the negative value down is because we were talking about the length of a side. So I only want the positive answer. So when I do this in my calculator, I get side A is equal to 3.15. And the reason why I rounded to the hundredths place is because the answer key matches this. Okay, so that is side A. I'm not done. I have to find angle B and angle C. So I'm going to go head after angle B next. Here's a very, very, very important fact. If you start with using the law of cosines, you have to end using the law of cosines. You cannot mix and match the law of sines with the law of cosines. And the reason why is because we end up using the inverse functions to find angles. And remember that the range of inverse cosine will give me quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. The inverse quadrants for the range of inverse sine, so the quadrants for inverse sine are quadrants 4 and quadrant 1. So as you can see, the inverse ranges of sine and cosine are not the same. So once again, if you start with law of cosines, you have to end with law of cosines. So since I'm looking for angle B, I'm going to use the formula B squared equals A squared plus C squared minus 2AC cosine of angle B. And I'm going to plug in my values. So B was 2, so 2 squared equals, A was 3.15, we just found that, we're going to square it, plus C, which is 3 squared, minus 2 times 3.15, which was A, and C was 3, cosine of angle B. Making this a little bit simpler, I get 4 equals 9.9225 plus 9 minus 18.9 cosine of angle B. Okay, I'm going to simplify this down by adding 9.9225 plus 9. And when I do that, I get 4 equals 18.9225 minus 18.9 cosine of angle B. Now, I'm going to take the 18.9225 and place it on the other side. So I have to subtract it, and when I subtract it from 4, I get negative 14.9225. And that equals negative 18.9 cosine of B. Last step is to divide off that negative 18.9. So I get negative 14.9225 divided by negative 18.9 equals cosine of angle B. My next step is to get angle B by itself. So the inverse operation of cosine is inverse cosine. So what I'm going to do is take the inverse cosine of both sides, and I get inverse cosine of negative 14.9225 divided by negative 18.9. And it equals negative cosine of B. And we know that these will cancel each other out, and I'm left with angle B equals, and when you plug this into your calculator, you get 37.86. Now, if you notice on the answer key, it takes it to 1 decimal place, so 13.9 degrees is angle B. Okay, at this point you have two choices. You can either use law of cosines again to find angle C, or you can use the fact that the anterior sum of the angles in a triangle sum to 180 degrees. So being that said, I can say that 180 minus angle B minus angle A will give me angle C. So let's plug in some values. 180 minus 37.9 degrees minus angle A, which is 75 degrees, equals angle C. Angle C, therefore, is equal to 67.1 degrees. And I can check to make sure that angle A plus angle B plus angle C equal 180. And that's it.